The Spartans couldn't recover against Wisconsin yesterday. Frank Kaminsky put up 31 points, and a somewhat questionable decision by Izzo to bring Brendan Dawson off the bench for Marvin Clark backfired. So Spartans are now tied for fourth in the Big Ten, and with 2 difficult games left, they're really going to need somebody to step up. My name is Amari Sankofa.
And I'm John Neidhart.
So a little backstory on the Brendan Dawson situation. Dawson had 2 not bad games, but subpar games, by his standards, because he's averaging a double-double in Big Ten play, a couple blocks. He's been phenomenal. And with the Big Ten being the way it is, with guys, so many good guys and just so many good teams that are knocking each other out, Izzo pretty much said, you know what, Dawson, I'm going to have to bench you, just to show you that we cannot have you submit 2 bad games, especially with the depth of the team right now with, Javon Best still out. Just the forward depth is just not where it needs to be, or the depth anywhere. So they talked about that after practice a little bit today, and there's a chance that Dawson will be in there to start lineup against Purdue. He always does well against the Indiana teams as a Gary, Indiana native. So I guess that's something to follow later on. But yeah, he definitely did not show up to play yesterday.
Yeah, against Minnesota, Izzo wasn't too happy with him. He still put up 10-7. If that was a bad night, a lot of guys would take that. But, obviously against Wisconsin, he got outclassed by sophomore Nigel Hayes. And, that's just not going to fly at this time of the year when the team needs, obviously, its seniors to play well. Trice played pretty well. He did his job, I think, as a senior. But, Dawson was just, not into it. And then the other thing is, Kaminsky just couldn't be stopped in that game. The MSU bigs, they've had their hands, they've seen 2 All-American forwards in Kaminsky and, Jahlil Okafor. And both times they just got schooled by those guys. And, I think they'll have their hands full this Wednesday night against Purdue because, Purdue has a 2-headed monster down low in Isaac Haas and A.J. Hammond's kind of tag teaming down in the block. And so, Costello, Dawson, Schilling, maybe even Wallman, they'll have their hands full too. And
this is just a really unfortunate stretch for the team because they've really kind of struggled with fouls all year, especially Gavin Schilling, stepping out, out of the post onto the 3-point line. He struggled against Kaminsky on Sunday. He, struggled against Minnesota last Thursday. And now you have to face another team with, good big men in Purdue. So this is just a really difficult stretch for the Spartans right now, especially with the Big Ten tournament around the corner, tied for 4th with Purdue, actually. That's, they play them on Wednesday. That'll be senior night for Trice and Brendan Dawson. And then you have Indiana on Saturday. So, this is really a bad time for a 2-game skid, especially after going 7 for 9 in a big win against Ohio State. But with that being said, I think that they will be able to figure certain things out. Not only did Brendan Dawson not show up against Wisconsin, Valentine really wasn't there until towards the end. Trice tried to make things happen, but, even he wasn't able to get everything he wanted to go. And then, you toss in the fact that, Schilling struggled with the 3-point shooters, and Costello and, Wellman are really kind of holding on to paint themselves. So what we're really seeing is this team is starting to struggle with some of the things that I kind of figured out beforehand as far as the fouls and getting guys going at the same time. So I think it'll be curious to see just how Izzo handles his lineup going into Wednesday.
Yeah, it will be. And just to touch on Schilling real quick, he just seems completely out of it mentally. The foul at the end of the Minnesota game, the foul trouble, I'm pretty sure his fouls are more than the points he's scored over the last, handful of games. So, he's got to figure it out too. But, again, it has come down to the seniors. And they'll, those seniors will have to be big in Purdue and Indiana. Those are 2 teams, just like Michigan State fighting for a position for the NCAA tournament, for the Big Ten tournament. So, there's no easy game the rest of the way.
There's no easy games the rest of the way. The 2 teams they have left, you have a smoking hot Purdue team, an Indiana team at home, which is always going to be difficult. Ideally they would have gotten a win against Minnesota last week, just so that they could have gone 3 for 1 over this kind of difficult 4-game stretch. But at the same time, it is what it is. So it'll be curious to see how they respond. Senior days on Wednesday. I'll be curious to see, how Brendan Dawson and Travis try to step up. Probably will be a packed house in Bresnan. Dawson, after practice today, said that the Izone is actually one of his best memories here. One of the things he'll miss the most. So be curious to see how the Izone kind of comes in and helps the Spartans figure this out.
Yep, that'll be at 8 p.m. Wednesday night. Signing off, I'm John Neidhart.
All right, I'm Amari Sankofa.